more on this, we're joined by Ahmed Alburai. He's a lecturer at Istanbul Aydin University, specialising in the Middle East. Ahmed, sorry, let's just start with the challenges that are faced by the world powers in dealing with the proxy groups on the ground. This is the latest escalation of it, isn't it?
You know, the escalation and the crisis in Syria have been evolving since the start of 5 years. And the things are getting worse and worse since the escalation. But fortunately, after speaking about the Geneva talks and taking all the groups to Geneva in order to find a compromise out of this mess, things get better, and the people were very happy because of the cessation of hostilities and atrocities of all sides, and the people are optimistic on the ground that things are, there might be a solution for the ongoing full-scale war for 5 years.
Absolutely. But with those talks in Geneva, you've got the state actors. You don't have people like Al-Nusra Front and other rebel groups, and that's the difficulty, because they're the ones that just this morning have been fighting in and around Aleppo.
I think these people should be represented, and I believe that they have the legitimacy to be represented there.
Even if they're backed to terrorist organisations like Al-Nusra is linked to Al-Qaeda?
Now, the listing or blacklisting groups, this is a problem of the international community who has been listing them and delisting them. So who are exactly the terrorist groups, it's not known. Now, ISIS or Daesh, we have no problem for that to be listed, and Nusra Front was listed and delisted because now they're speaking about different things of rebranding their names and keeping a distance from Al-Qaeda. That may be a goodwill gesture from Nusra to take a step further in order to join these groups. So it's up to both sides, the international community, to show some flexibility dealing with these factions. On the other hand, the factions on the ground, they should detach themselves from terrorist groups.
Absolutely. And just on those groups that are attached to terrorist organisations, you have the YPG involved this morning, obviously Al-Nusra we discussed, and Daesh. Now, certain of those groups are prescribed by Turkey, by the international community, as terrorist organisations. Surely you can't have them at the peace table?
You know, the YPG is a special case for Turkey because Mr. Erdogan, the Turkish president, he refuses totally, they oppose any invitation to the YPG, which is the armed wing of the YPD, the Kurdish groups in Syria, because their agenda is completely different. It's not the fight against Assad regime. They've been striving to have their independent entity in the region, in a place called Rojava, 3 main cities in the north district of Syria, Al Jazeera, Kobani and Afrin. And that's why the threat, the imminent threat against Turkey causes
they're right on the border, obviously.
Yeah, that's in the border. That's one thing. The other thing, they have good relations with Assad at the same time. And their unilateral declaration of that autonomous entity increases the suspicions about their agendas. Are they really in fight of ISIS? Yeah, because Daesh, because the United States, they claim that it's the only force on the ground that proved to be the most effective, the most powerful in degrading and deterring ISIS. But is this the truth on the ground? We have big questions about this, especially that ISIS is expanding in the region. They are gaining more swaths of land, and they're stretching.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, we have to leave it there, Ahmed Alburai, but we could go on all day. But thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for having me.